Hello, everyone. What a great song. Brings us back to, of course, our childhood memories. And it's always fun and exciting to hear that theme song from Sesame Street. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adrián Pedrosa. I am the Executive Director of Abriendo Puertas Opening Doors. And on behalf of our entire team and Abriendo Puertas community, we want to welcome you to this very important webinar entitled Coming Together, Racial Justice Resources from Sesame Street and Communities. Just a quick intro to our work at Abriendo Puertas Opening Doors. As many of you know, we're a national evidence-based comprehensive training program designed by and for parents with children ages prenatal to 5 years old. We welcome you, our partners who are doing the work in communities to invest in parents as leaders, to invest in parents as the first teachers and in the home as the child's first school. Many of you understand that this work takes a two-generation approach that invest in parents and caregivers to build their strengths and skills so that we can achieve positive outcomes for all children and overall family well-being. Many of you are part of our facilitator and partner network that authentically work with parents and families throughout the US. We are honored to have you all as partners in this work. Over the next 8 years, we're setting out a bold goal to increase our impact with families to reach 1 million families annually together with you all, our partners, and our wonderful partners like Sesame Workshop. As part of this bold goal, we understand that you need the resources and tools to help you better serve the families you work with and address the challenges and families' goals, dreams, and aspirations. Today's webinar is a direct result of what families and you, our partners, are telling us that you need as far as additional resources and tools to support families, and in this case, to talk to their children about racial justice. We know that all kids need a strong individual and group identity, but that racism hurts the healthy development of both. I'm the father of 3 young children and understand the importance of engaging honestly and directly with them. I understand that it's the beginning of building racial literacy with my kids. There's no more trusted partner than we can have for this conversation than Sesame Street and Communities. We are honored to partner with them to explore these wonderful resources that will be presented to you that celebrate race, that allow us to stand tall collectively and to address racism. Thank you very much, Antonio. I want to pass that over to you.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Radian, and thanks so much to all of you for letting us join you on this journey of learning more about ourselves and the ways that we can connect with each and everyone in our community. My name is Antonio Freitas, and on behalf of the Sesame Workshop, I'm excited to talk to you all today about some of the resources that might be helpful in your work with children and the adults in your circle of care. We know that children begin to observe and internalize those messages of race at a young age that Adrian was talking about, during a critical time for building one's own identity and sense of self. It's important then for families to feel equipped and comfortable to have conversations about race and racism, and Sesame is here to help. Today, we're excited to launch with you the new ABCs of racial literacy resources, designed to give children and caregivers additional tools to cope with racism and navigate difficult situations together as a family and neighborhood. We want children to know that racism is wrong and that all skin colors, eye shapes, and hair textures are beautiful and to be celebrated. So I come to this place as a classroom teacher and an early childhood program director, and am humbled and very much aware at the digital and virtual expertise of everyone in this setting, and the tireless ways that you are often all things to people big and small in your settings. You share information, you ask questions, and you help the other adults in a child's life explain how the world works. And like many of you, I oversaw programming for children and families and know that even the most prepared lessons by seasoned vets can sometimes fall by the wayside when life happens. Grandparents pass away, parents get addicted, and families get deployed. And we all know that when these small cracks don't get addressed in healthy ways, that singular traumatic experience that a child may face could lead to severe consequences through adulthood. But like you, Sesame Street believes in the power of community. And for over 50 years, we've worked with children, families, and providers to build smarter, stronger, kinder communities, one relationship at a time. We're going to begin that talk today with a way of getting to know each other and then learn a little bit more about Sesame Street and Communities, this digital hub of multimedia resources. From there, we'll have a quick conversation about the needs of your own neighborhoods and the potential to capitalize on strengths and needs of everyone in it with meaningful resources. We'll play with some different types of tools that we have on our website, and then spend some time thinking about the ways to embed these in your work and conversations with children and families before closing out. And as we go through these resources, I'm going to ask you to reflect on those children and those families in your care, and to play with me in the sandbox with some of these assets that might be just one more tool in those conversations you're already having. My goal is for you to leave today's conversation with some relevant resources that you can easily embed into the fold of programming with your stakeholders. And along the way, we'll have some fun, tell some jokes, and share some stories. So we'll first, though, begin with the way of getting to know a little bit more about the community that we have. So as mentioned at the top of this conversation, my name is Antonio Freitas, and I am based out of Brooklyn, New York, and came from the less snowy west coast of California about 20 years ago. My job here at Sesame Street and Communities and at the workshop is as the Director of Educational Experiences, which means I get to build up a lot of the content that you'll see reflected on our digital platform, and then also think about how we present it to caregivers, providers, and other adults in a child's circle of care like all of you, so that it lands, it's culturally responsive, and everyone has something to use connected to it. My favorite Muppet growing up was Bert. I'm a twin brother and come from a big family, and often Bert and Ernie were code names for Carlos and Antonio, the name of my twin brother, and it was an easy way for everyone in the family and outside of us to tell us apart. So you know a little bit about me, who my favorite Muppet is, and also the work that I'm doing, but now we want to know about you and everyone else in this space. So I'd like you to use the chat window and tell us a little bit more about who you are by sharing your name if you haven't already, the role you play connected to children by either a specific title or just the words caregiver or provider, and then also, based on your experience, your memories, or even the Muppets on this page, who your favorite furry friend is. And I'll play some music to go ahead and get us started.
People in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood, in your neighborhood. Say, who are the people in your neighborhood? The people that you meet each day. Oh, hi there, little fella.
Oh.
Hey, listen, you know who you could be if I gave you this little hat and a bag to carry over your shoulder?
Man, I could be a laundryman.
No, not a laundry
How about
man.
Santa Claus?
No, not Santa Claus.
What's wrong with Santa Claus?
There's nothing wrong with Santa Claus.
Don't you like Christmas?
Oh, I love Christmas, but you could be the postman.
A postman? Oh, the postman always brings the mail. Through rain or snow or sleet or hail. I'll work and work the whole day through to get your letter safe to you.
'Cause the postman is a person in your neighborhood.
In your neighborhood.
He's in your neighborhood.
A
Postman is a person in your neighborhood. A person that you meet each day.
I'll see you around.
Okay.
Where you going?
So I'm going to go and stop that. It sounds like we've got the ball rolling. Some great comments, people's names, comments. I saw a Mountain View close to my own hometown in Sunnyvale, California. Excited to see many people's names, many people's titles, and also your favorite Muppets. I know that Adrian and Izzy and many of others on this conversation talked about Grover as being someone that they are near and dear to. And Grover is actually one of our signature Muppets that we use for a lot of STEM and STEAM-related resources, and also is sort of the poster Muppet for resilience because of his flexibility, his curiosity, and the way that he can always bounce back from different situations. Many other people like Lauren and some others that are on this chat window talked about your interest in Cookie Monster, and believe it or not, he is the only Muppet with 5 fingers. Everybody else has 4, but he needs that extra digit to hold on to some delicious cookies. So you have a little bit of happy hour information now about 2 Muppets. I'll see if I can share more along the way of this conversation. But typically, when we do this part of the presentation and get a chance to hear what people are connected to, there's a joy and a surge and a loudness in the room, whether in person or virtual, that have everyone connecting back to the ways that they enjoyed Sesame Street in their own childhood and the way they are able to bring that level of enthusiasm, nostalgia, and excitement to children in their own lives and communities. And so we really hope that Sesame Street, and specifically Sesame Street and Communities, has the tendency to foster those types of good feelings in everyone. Imagine what it would be like then if a whole community was alive with that energy. And that's really what we hope you'll feel and get excited about as you learn more today about Sesame Street and Communities. And back in 1969, the United States was on the verge of a change. With limited resources available in communities across the United States, Sesame Street was the first show of its kind to not only entertain, but educate. And creators Joan Gans Cooney and Lloyd Morissette saw an opportunity to prepare every child, no matter the zip code, with the information they needed to all start school with the same level of readiness. And now, more than 53 years later, Sesame continues to prepare every child for school and the world with fun and engaging ways to explore with furry friends. And from the very beginning, the Sesame Workshop has modeled inclusivity in its storylines, our diverse cast of Muppets, humans, and even guests. From Roosevelt Franklin, our first Black Muppet, through the years to include other friends like Rosita, Cammy, and Lily, a furry friend reflecting food insecurity and homelessness so many families face, to Carly, a new Muppet that we've introduced back in 2019 to connect us with foster care and families coping with parental addiction. We've tried to include Muppets that reflect everyone in our neighborhoods. But over the past few years, we've also been hearing from partners and advisors and thought that we should consider doing more. We conducted an identity study in 2019, and we plan to convene advisors together to discuss systemic racism and historic trauma. Unfortunately, that got put on the back burner when COVID began. And after the murder of George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, and so many more, we realized that we needed to do more with a renewed sense of urgency. Everyone collectively felt like we were not doing enough, that we needed to be explicit. And we realized that while diversity and inclusion and representation are critical, they are not sufficient enough. To tackle racism, we needed to be bold and explicit by naming it. And so with things like the CNN Town Hall, Sesame Workshop was one of the first places and first opportunities that we used to explicitly define what racism is. And now we're continuing to define and repeat it so that it's a concept that kids can understand, recognize when it happens, and take actions as upstanders against it. We know that racism, along with many other traumatic experiences, affect nearly half of the American children under the age of 18. And that means that over 35 million kids have been through at least one adverse childhood experience, with more than 1/3 of those children under the ages of 5. But we also know that simple strategies can make a difference in mitigating the effects of some of these traumatic experiences. And we're learning that the more that we can help families, both children and the grown-ups in their lives, take small steps, the more we can build up stronger, smarter, kinder communities, one relationship at a time. And so now you have a better sense of sort of who we are and what created the evolution of Sesame Street and communities under our larger Sesame Workshop. So let's take a look and explore what Sesame Street and communities can be for you. And when I talk about SSIC, or Sesame Street and Communities, what I'm talking about is a model that uses 3 components to reach children in communities through channels that we traditionally have not been able to access. And this includes an online content hub, this curated collection of the best of our community engagement work, created over decades with new content updated monthly. It also includes my own favorite part, the professional development resources that help train providers to better address the needs of students, children, and families across their communities with things like webinars, training videos, and courses. And finally, implementation partners like all of you that help enable everyone in their neighborhood to use resources and build stronger spaces together. Sesame Street and Communities offers parents, providers, and community organizations shared messaging, shareable content, and simple strategies for children and families' daily lives. So as we go through this website, keep in mind those programs, those communities, those conversations you're already engaged in, and the ways that you might be able to implement these resources into them. And we're first going to start by taking a look at a screenshot from what you might see when you click onto ssic.org. And using the chat window, take a moment and let us know what you notice on that screen. What pictures or words or ideas are jumping out at you from the screenshot of changes big and small from Sesame Street and Communities. Thanks, Annie, for getting us started. There is a lot of diversity. We try to reflect the different identities of everyone in our different neighborhoods across the United States. And so to that end, we keep furry friends in there, we keep human friends in there, and we try to show a wide variety of people that make our communities special. About that idea of inclusion and equity, you might see a lot of the different ways that we both have tried to film some of the Muppet-facing pieces, and in lots of the different ways we've been able to share our resources. We've tried to be deliberate about giving many different on-ramps for how to use our resources in strategic ways based on people's preferences. So you might see things like videos or articles or even games that people can play, but it's all dependent on the type of resource that children, families, or providers like to use. Many of the things that people first notice when they take a look at this screen is that the content on it is adult-facing, and that's deliberate, right? We've created this site especially for children to use with grown-ups because we know how important grown-ups are in a child's life and development. We want to equip everyone, both parents, caregivers, and even providers like you with the knowledge, tools, and resources to support your work. You can also see that in the upper left-hand corner, you can change the view to either parent or provider. And the parent view includes shorter experiences and resources that everyone can use with kids, while that provider view includes a little bit more information specific for professional development. And with more than 300 different activities across more than 30 different topic pages, all of our resources are reflected in English and in Spanish. Just by clicking on either word in that top left-hand corner, you'll be able to convert all of the information connected to all of the resources into either of those languages. And finally, because many of our different members of communities and partnerships across the United States work in a variety of settings, all of our resources can be saved, shared, or printed out, and with the option to log in so that if you're in a hurry or if you repeatedly use those same documents, videos, or articles, they're in a safe space that is just yours. Think of it like a virtual locker. And as I may have mentioned before, all these resources are free and anyone that comes to SSIC.org to explore what these resources can look like to you. And at many of our workshops, participants are often excited, but truthfully, sometimes overwhelmed at the amount of resources we have on SSIC, and because of that, the best place to start. And so to help navigate the more than 30 different topics and 300 different types of resources, we've created a filter option. And the filter option allows users short on time with a specific audience the chance to determine the best use of assets based on the age of the person, the length of the activity, and also the type of assets. Printable resources are those documents that are easy to print out and have a small green icon of a paper at the bottom of each resource. And everything from coloring pages, card games, resource directories, and even stories to share are just a few of these types of resources. Interactive games are those activities where children can use devices like phones and computers and tablets to explore settings and circumstances like their furry friends. And here they can practice and role play the best ways to handle different things like a preschool classroom, or the first time they go to a doctor's office, or even thinking about how to use things like a calming game to manage emotions. And a small blue icon of a hand will let you know about these types of resources. Videos on our topic page can show the different ways that we stay healthy, informed, and in control when life feels a little overwhelming, and can be easily found by looking for that small orange icon of a play button. Storybooks are interactive texts that children and adults can share in a few different ways. Kids can turn the pages of a digital book while an adult reads it to them, or just simply press play and have the story read aloud from a narrator on the screen. And articles highlighted by that small purple icon of a newspaper are informative texts, usually at a grade school reading level and with easy to access bulleted information. And we found these to be most useful between the adults in a child's life. When I was a pre-K director, I often found myself printing out these articles and passing it to families at arrival and dismissal. Because like all sweet and include one sentence at the top, that's just a big idea. So if I was running in a hurry or someone had to quickly pick up or drop off their child, I could just remember that top sentence and share the resource with families and friends of our neighborhood. And finally, workshops are those bundled packages of resources the team here at Sesame Street has put together. And these workshops may include a combination of 2 or 3 different resources from this list that we found actually work really well together. And you'll see many of them on our racial justice topic page that we're going to be talking about today. But before we dive into that, if you had to think for a moment about a child or a family in your care about racial justice, what type of resource, what age, and what length of time might you use to figure out the best resource for the child or family you're taking care of? Take a moment and in the chat window, let us know what age, time, and type of filter you would use. And together, we'll go on SSIC.org and explore what the racial justice topic page can look like to you. Thanks, Molly and Andrew, for getting us started. We talked about a young child, maybe one even 4 to 6 years old, with a quick 1 to 4 minute activity from Maria's. And also Sarah talked about storybooks for that. It could be 1 to 4 minutes or even for a child ages 2 to 3 years old. So I'm going to show you how to use some of those different filters and how we can get to them with ease. So the first thing I'm going to do is just go online to SSIC.org. And I know that's a long title, but if you just write in SSIC.org, it'll take you straight to our website. And on our website, just like we mentioned, in that top left-hand corner, you'll have the chance to volley between English or Spanish, in which case all of the language and all of the resources flip from one language to the next. You can also click between provider or caregiver. And once you do that at the very first time you go to the website, it sort of defaults to that. So because I often go to this website as a provider, that's what my page is connected to. The only difference is that on a provider-facing page, you have this partner portal that gives you a sense of some of the different neighborhoods we've been doing deep work in, and then also that additional professional development tab that gives providers like me a chance to sort of level up the work that we're doing connected to these resources with some specific professional development workshops, courses, and classes. The topics that we have reflected on both the caregiver and the provider side is reflected in A through Z alphabetical order and often gets updated each and every month. So you can always take a look at it and see from this pick list what you want to go into. If you're not quite sure, you can again always use the search option to write something in and you can see it explored on your own. But since today we're talking about racial justice, I'm going to go over to topics, scroll down to R for racial justice, and you'll see the landing page. The racial justice landing page, like all of our different landing pages, includes the title at the top, a quick paragraph that lets you know what the page is all about, and then options to star it by putting it in your locker, uploading it by keeping it on your desktop, or printing it out and physically passing it out or holding it for a later date. The video that we'll watch in a few minutes is an introductory, but I want to show you that breakdown of filtered options. So you have the age, the time, and the type of work. So I'm going to go back. I saw that Anna said maybe ages 2 to 3, 1 to 4 minutes, and something like a storybook. Sometimes that mix of combinations doesn't always work out, but if I play around with it, sometimes other things do pop up. You can see here a different storybook that is viable. If you're not quite sure if that's the best thing to use, maybe I'm looking at a specific article with grownups. I might put the age or the word article and then the length of time. And it's a breakdown of all the different types of articles that we have. If you're not quite sure what you want, or you just want to see everything that's available, just by defaulting and keeping the filter options as they are, you'll be able to scroll down the page and see a breakdown of all of the different resources that are reflected on the racial justice topic page. Now, these get updated all the time. So if you're not quite sure, start with the whole library and you can then slowly curate as needed. So you now know what Sesame Street and Communities is and how to get to the website, even specifically looking at some of the different topics like racial justice. But we're going to dig now into that specific topic and play around with some of the filtered options that you've been able to pass us through the chat window to, again, see how these might land for you. So we really hope, connected to this work, that at the work that we do within the Sesame Workshop, our goal is to look through every issue through the lens of a child. And that includes large systemic issues like racism that have very real impacts on the lives of children. And our curriculum really focuses on breaking down these issues into interactions that preschoolers might understand to be wrong and unfair, to help them become better allies and advocates in the community, along with the adults that are able to co-create it with them. And to give you a sense of what this looks like, we've created one introductory video that everyone in the neighborhood can watch together to help talk about and demystify what race is, connected to who we are and how we share on the inside and out. Let's take a look at our introductory video for Coming Together.
All right, this looks good.
Dad, I think today's perfect.
A full day weather forecast of sunny skies and smiles.
Hi, Mr. Elijah.
Hey, Elmo.
What are you two doing?
Dad and I are taking a break from our nature walk.
Yep, and we stop for a moment to enjoy the colorful leaves.
Yeah.
Oh, look, Elmo, the leaves are falling.
Yeah. Look. This leaf is red like Elmo's fur. Oh, and this leaf is brown like Russ's skin.
Good observation, Elmo.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Elmo has a question.
Oh, what is it, Elmo?
Elmo wants to know why Russ's skin is brown.
Oh, I know why, Elmo. My mom and dad told me. It's because of melanin. Right, Dad?
That's right.
Melanin? What's that?
Well, melanin is something that we each have inside our bodies that make the outside of our bodies the skin color that it is. It also gives us our eye and our hair color.
Oh, and our fur color?
Yes, that's right, exactly, Elmo.
Oh, but if we all have melanin, why are we different colors? Like, why is Mr. Elijah's skin a darker brown than Russ's skin?
Oh, that's a good question, Elmo. Well, it's because the more melanin you have, the darker your skin looks. The color of our skin is an important part of who we are. But we should all know that it's okay that we all look different in so very many ways.
Well, Elmo's fur is red and soft.
Oh, and my hair is black and curly.
Things on the outside, like our skin color, our hair texture, our noses, our mouths and eyes, make us who we are. Many people call this race. But even though we look different, we're all part of the human race.
Isn't it cool, Elmo?
Very cool.
Huh, what did you see?
Elmo sees leaves that are all different colors.
And the different colors look really cool together.
Yes, those leaves came from one amazing tree. Standing strong, its branches like arms stretched wide, with leaves of many different colors, side by side swaying together in the breeze.
Oh, like this? Wow.
Oh, yeah.
When people of all colors come together, we stand strong, like this tree.
Yeah. Oh, look, Elmo. This leaf looks just like us. Two colors, side by side.
It's beautiful.
Beautiful together.
That sweet video is really sort of how we try to introduce topics in a developmentally appropriate way connected to race, racial justice, and celebrating and identifying who we are on the inside and how we can share that information on the outside. As mentioned in many of the notes that people are writing right now and also reflected on the screen, all of the information that we gather comes to us not just out of an interest, but also really out of both a need from many stakeholders, providers, and caregivers able to share information about what they either need connected to these different topics or what's not out there that they could definitely benefit from. And so when we started talking with subject matter experts, those parents, those providers, those child psychologists, classroom teachers, and administrators from around the United States connected to what Sesame Street is and the work that we could do connected to race and demystifying racism, what we talked about with those subject matter experts was that we first needed to establish a shared language. And this shared language needed to include terminology so everyone in a community could understand the power that comes with being able to talk about and celebrate all aspects of our identity. The second thing connected to culture and community was this idea of being able to talk through differences and celebrate things that make us special and unique. And that really came through this idea of communication and conflict resolution, right? How do we provide children with and the adults that are in their lives with resources and strategies to address when harms are done and also to ensure they don't happen again, which again leads us to that third concept of being an upstander. What are the tasks that everyone can do in our own ways that help create a brighter, stronger, more equitable future for everyone in the neighborhood? And so with those as the three anchoring concepts, we began to create resources to meet the needs of everyone in the neighborhood connected to these resources. Who you saw in that video were two of the newest friends on Sesame Street, Wes and his father, Elijah. And they actually moved to Sesame Street because Mom, Debbie, and Dad, Elijah, found great job opportunities here, and they thought that it would be a wonderful place for their child to grow up in. Wes, their son, is an energetic kid with an extremely active imagination. He loves to play pretend and enjoys going to pre-K where he has lots of other kids to join in playing in his imaginative worlds. But Wes is the only Black student in his class, which he's been mostly unaware of. And there have been moments and microaggressions that, harmless as they may have seemed to other kids, have made Wes aware that his race is something to be perceived as different. And so to help capitalize on that, we wanted to create opportunities to explore race and resilience in a way that everyone in the family could talk about, from Wes to his dad, Eli, the weather guy. And Eli is that meteorologist that has recently started his career back on Sesame Street after being passed over for a promotion in a previous role as a news and weather reporter at a different station. And I share these stories to explain that before we bring any character into Sesame Street, it's not just a one-off, but we take deliberate time and energies to ensure that there are backstories and reasons and opportunities to really tell the entire experience of a character. So we talked a little about Wes, and Eli introduced one more friend recently, and this is Ji-yoon. She is age 6 and the newest Korean Muppet that we have. Ji-yoon is close with her family and very proud of her South Korean heritage. And her name comes from the words Ji for wisdom, knowledge, and sesame, and also Young, which stands for hero, brave, and courageous. Ji-yoon loves to play soccer, and you will continue to hear her playing guitar in some music videos we might watch a little bit later, and also skateboard. So again, as we expand all the different faces that are on our Sesame Street neighborhood, this gives you 3 more friends that you can connect with and hopefully share with children in your life. So we've talked about some of the resources that you want and might be considered using, and we want to now gently reframe these resources so you can think about using them in 3 different contexts: works and resources to share with children, to share with families, and then to share with other providers. So as I mentioned before, at Sesame, we look at every issue through the lens of a child because we know that scientifically, children are not colorblind. They first notice differences in race and start assigning value to those differences in infancy. Children also start forming their own sense of identity at a very young age. And building a positive sense of self is critical to the development of all children. And valuing others can help kids grow into more embracing and caring adults. To do that, we've also been able to underscore the fact that for Black and Brown children, it is important that we all give and provide opportunities to celebrate outward appearance so that they can keep strong with themselves as they grow up and deconstruct and help to deconstruct a racist society. The principles reflected on this page, like Beautiful Me, are great ways for kids to share and show who they are on the inside and out. You might print them out and work together with children on these pages to celebrate their growing identities. And singing is also another great way to celebrate our identities, thinking about what we share with others and how we notice how we're different too. That other printable page called I Am Somebody includes lyrics to our song Giant and can offer children phrases, lyrics, and conversation starters to get them thinking about what it means for them to be strong in their own skin. And finally, positive affirmations we know build confidence and a strong sense of self-worth and identity. And repeating them is a powerful way to keep big ideas in our heads and hearts when we need them most. So you might consider printing out those I Am Somebody cards and then cutting them apart to keeping them in an envelope and having children use them at the beginning of the day or before they get tucked in at night so they can remember the power they have and how they can continue to grow in that power. So we know when it comes to resources for kids that even with adults, it's sometimes hard to know how to handle scary or hurtful race-based encounters. And it's also sometimes confusing to know when it's time to speak up or stick up for oneself, when it's best to also walk away from conflict. So to help navigate those sticky situations, we wanted to provide an opportunity to have one of our own furry friends, Rosita, talk to her friend Sophie about a microaggression that she and her mom experienced, and to think a little bit more about the control that we can exert when we have big situations and big feelings about it. Let's take a look at Spanish is My Superpower.
Ready?
Yeah, woo, I got it!
You got it! Nice catch, Rosita.
Thank you!
I've got an idea.
See?
Do you want to play Veil Veil?
Oh. No, thank you.
What's wrong, Rosita? You love playing I Spy. We play Veil Veil all the time.
It's just that, something happened last time I played Bail with my mommy at the grocery store.
What happened?
People didn't like that we were speaking Spanish and they got mad at us.
I'm so sorry that happened, Rosita.
They yell at us that we should speak English. And they look so angry. I was so scared. I hold my mommy's hand. And she told me that we had to leave.
scary to be treated that way.
Yeah. We couldn't finish our shopping. Or playing my game.
That's not fair, Rosita. Well, what happened next?
Well, we left the store. And when I got home, I said to my mommy, I don't understand. All my friends on Sesame Street love when we speak Spanish. And they love when we teach them new words and songs.
Sí, mi amor, but sometimes people who speak another language get treated unfairly. But it doesn't mean you have to stop being yourself.
Mommy, what can you do about what happened in the store?
Whenever you're in a situation that doesn't feel safe, no matter if you're alone or with your friends, it's better to walk away and find an adult to help you.
But what if this happens to other people? Should we tell someone?
You know what, Chica? You're right. I am so proud of you for thinking of others. We should do something. Let's call the grocery store and tell them what happened and that it wasn't fair.
See, Mommy.
I'm so proud.
Rosita, I am so glad that your mommy called the store.
Yeah, and guess what happened? The manager of the store said that she was sorry and she put up a sign that said, all people and languages are welcome.
Ay, qué bueno, Rosita. That's amazing.
Yeah. You know what, Sophia? I am so proud that I speak Spanish.
You should be, because Spanish is amazing. Speaking another language, it's like having a superpower.
Exactamente. Okay, Sophia, let's play. Oh, see, I spy with my little eye somebody with a superpower who speaks Spanish.
Is it Rosita?
No, it's you.
No, it's both of us.
It's both of us. Thanks for listening.
Oh, anytime, Rosita. Anytime.
So that video is reflected on our Sesame Street Communities page connected to racial justice. And what I really like about that video and all of our resources is if you click on it, it gives that big idea, the single sentence summary at the top, just to give you a sense of what the video or the specific asset is all about. And then a breakdown of the different topic page it's on, the specific age range we've tried to intend it for, and about the length of time you will need to actually share it. And then, if you're not quite sure of the best ways to present it or what to do before, after, or during the actual presentation of the resource, we've been able to provide a gentle script as well that you could use or might consider taking piece of if it's helpful to you. This is, again, just one more thing to use in the work that you're doing connected to children and families. In addition to that video, we also have something called the storybook, and it is considered outside inside, which gives you a little bit more of an information connected to Wes, Eli, and all of the members of our global community that can help celebrate their differences and similarities. You might read it and think about ways to engage with children or families in your neighborhood, and also what things you could do before, after, or during. So you have a clear sense now of the variety of ways that we can use Sesame Street and community resources with kids in your care. But let's take a quick moment to examine some of the activities you can use and pass along to parents and families as well. So throughout our topic page on racial justice, we've included several documentary-style short videos with families around the United States sharing the ways that they celebrate identity, family, and community. And we often encourage caring grown-ups to watch this content with their children as a springboard for open conversations about race and racism. And across these videos, we've started to reflect the wide array of cultures, ethnicities, and racial identities that make each of us unique, connected to each other, and reflect the individual families that can create a space to dialogue about race. So we're going to watch the first few minutes. This one is in total about 8. We're not going to watch all of it. We're going to watch about 3.5 with a family of the Maranians, talking a little bit more about how they understand what makes them special and also how they've been able to address challenging behaviors and experiences connected to colorism across their own neighborhood and family.
I'm Sally. I'm a mom and a teacher. My husband is Chris. My daughter Crystalline is 9, and my son CJ is 6. When I was growing up, there were moments where I wasn't always necessarily proud of my Mexican heritage, and so I want to make sure that I always incorporate that into our everyday. Like our family, my sister-in-law and her family, they immigrated here from Mexico. She loves to celebrate Dia de los Muertos, right?
Me too.
Three Kings Day. Unfortunately, sometimes people have their own stereotypes about different people because of the way that they look. Sometimes you're gonna be treated unfairly, and we want you to know that you didn't do anything wrong. You're beautiful just the way you are, and there's nothing wrong with you. And talk to us about it, or talk to a teacher about it. My daughter is at the point right now where she can write a poem about how she feels, and it's been really helpful for her. My son is more of a drawer, so he'll draw out his feelings. We all pick different skin shades. Did you notice that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Can we all look at our hands together? Look at that.
Everybody's a different shade.
Everybody's a different shade, but we're still family. Like Titi Obanda, right? She's Mexican and she's Black. And Abuelito, we do have, in my family, people from different backgrounds. That's often a conversation. Why are they so light-skinned and I'm not? It's just their skin complexion. It's just a little bit different than ours. Doesn't mean that they're not our family. We all look different from each other, but we all still love each other and we are there for one another.
I've picked this color for my skin because I think that my skin looks like that.
I'm so happy, Linny, that you picked shades that look like you, that feel good for you. You know, when I was growing up, I would want myself to be lighter.
Why did you always have to pick light colors?
We've spoken about this before, but there's this thing called colorism.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember what colorism is?
Just because one person in your family is one different type of shade and somebody else says that you can't be family just because of the shade of your skin.
Colorism is when you treat people differently because of the skin color that they have. It might mean that if you have lighter skin, you might get treated better than a person who has darker skin complexion. That's how I've seen it in my life growing up. Sometimes my aunts would say like, oh, lighter is better. No deberías estar tan oscura. You shouldn't be that brown. Don't be in the sun for that long. So I always wanted to have lighter skin. And now I'm always like, oh my goodness, I just want to go in the sun. I want to get brown. I love being brown. We should be proud of what we look like. We should be proud of being brown and having different kinds of noses and different kinds of eyes. It looks just like you. You are a beautiful, beautiful shade of brown. You're not trying to change who you are, and I'm so happy about that because you don't have to change who you are. You know that? With my mom and my dad, sometimes we wouldn't talk about that stuff. You know that, CJ? But guess what? I think that we can have these conversations.
Every day?
Yeah, we should be having these conversations every day.
I can't believe I actually just read your mind.
You read my mind.
So as Vanessa's commented in the chat window, this is a video like many of other documentaries that hits home for a lot of us. These are difficult conversations that many people have experienced. And we are hopeful and optimistic that being able to not only show these conversations happening, but also to show the healthy ways to engage in them, to recognize harms done in the past can help us bridge, build, and also create opportunities to build stronger, smarter, more resilient families connected to the broader range of people in our world and across our United States moving forward. So we're excited about this video and all of the resources connected to it. In addition to it, we've also included a few other printables to hammer home that idea that being together with family can be a source of rest, connection, and fun. The printable joyful moments on your screen include small tasks like sharing stories or telling jokes that can remind everyone in a family that they can do things together to take care of each other. We know that engaging meaningfully with kids around race and racial justice can set the stage for a lifetime of pride, understanding, strength, empathy, and confidence. And so the digital activity games on your screen can be played across any device, tablets, phones, or computers. And together with children, you can use those different modes of operating to explore different ways to celebrate who we are on the inside and out. And let's talk about race. Families can explore questions and developmentally appropriate answers about race and identity in child-friendly ways across 5 different categories. And I'll take you to that screen right now and show you what it looks like. So if I just scroll, and in the interest of time, I'm going to just remind you once more, if I click onto SSIC.org and then go under racial justice, I'll be able to click under the interactive and find a couple of different games that kids can play with their families on this page. One is called I Am Me. The one we're going to look at now, just for a quick moment, is called Let's Talk About Race, Explain, Connect, and Describe. And there are 5 different topics we can dive a little bit deeper into. Again, here, just like all of our other resources, you can be able to volley between English and Spanish. So these are the 5 different categories we have, and these are going to be based on child-generated questions and developmentally appropriate answers that we as the adults in their lives can include. So we'll take a look at important questions. So a child might ask, you might ask a child, why do you think someone's skin color is different from yours? Why do you think people's skin comes in different colors? And then to explain it, the answer is offered here, and it again might go back to what you saw in that introductory video that we showed from the Coming Together page. That melanin is something that we have each inside of our bodies that makes the outside of our bodies the skin color that it is and gives our eyes and hair color. The more melanin you have, the darker your skin will be. So lots of different opportunities to explore different questions and answers in that way, and also create pictures, not only of friends on the Sesame Street block, but have children define and create pictures with arts and crafts on a digital screen so that they can also be reflected on it in the game I Am Me. So we're moving to that last category of resources you can share with different members of your neighborhood. We've talked a little bit about those resources explicitly for kids, those that can be shared with families as activities to do at home. And this final round is specifically for those members of our neighborhood that are like us in many different spaces as providers. So the first thing we wanted to share with you is a workshop. We know that often talking about or thinking about racism can be a taunting task for many adults. Fear of making mistakes or of offending others can hold us back from diving into this important conversation. But we also know that fortunately, there are things that everyone can do to move past fear and into authentic action. And doing some of this hard work can equip parents to lead their families to stand up against racism together. So in the workshops reflected on your screen, families are invited, and specifically the parents of those families, to watch short videos and consider questions to help reflect on how you may be able to practice the ideas and strategies in your own life. Some of these questions might not be easy to answer, and that's okay. The hard work is worth it. The videos in this workshop feature Patricia Taylor and Shannon Avens, mothers of young children who are passionate about creating kinder, safer, more equitable worlds for future generations. Connected to that, we got so much good information from Patricia Taylor. We were actually able to thread in one more piece of work from her, and that's connected to something that we have on our professional development tab specific to interactive guides. And this interactive guides includes 6 weeks worth of resources that you can use with children in early childhood settings, that you can share with families, and that you can also use in your own building reflection and identity as a growing provider. These different resources are curated in a way that we've taken all of those different resources reflected on the racial justice topic page, and we've grouped them into different daily activities that you can do with everyone in the neighborhood. We hope that as you navigate these lessons, you may be able to discover new ways to inspire the curiosity of little ones and wonder the world around them by recognizing the important role that adults play in addressing race and racism, by drawing upon the strengths of families, and by exploring the way to model kindness across diverse communities. In these last few minutes, we have 3 different subtopic pages connected to the work that we're doing. And so I'm going to ask Alex to go ahead and put up a quick poll question so that you can share with us which topic page you'd like to dig into a little bit deeper for. So let's take 1 quiet minute and you can click on that answer now. Luis Guernica, you talked a little bit about inclusion, equity, in children and content with disabilities. We have tried to reflect across all of our different topic pages in both the pictures, the icon, and lots of the different language that we're using children of a wide variety of abilities and also internal and external opportunities and gifts that they're able to share. And so in some ways, we need to do even better about this and make sure that it is present and demonstrative on every topic page. But we have tried to be deliberate about peppering those resources in and are dedicating some time and research to finding new topic pages to explore connected to them. Great question. Let's take about 5 more seconds, and I'm going to ask Alex to go ahead and show us the poll answers connected to which subtopic page you'd all like to take a look at once more.
We're tied right now, so I'm waiting for someone to break the tie. So if you haven't answered.
Awesome, thank you. Oh, it looks like talking about race. It's a close look, y'all. So what I'm gonna do is actually show you how to go into the talking about race page. And again, if you take a look at coming together, I'm gonna go one more time, SSIC.org. I'm gonna scroll over to topics, racial justice. You see that video that we all saw, the quick paragraph introduction at the top, and then a breakdown of all of the different resources on the page that you can see and take a look at for free, no matter when or where you jump onto SSIC.org. But if you're looking for a slightly more curated content, you can take a look within these 3 different topic pages. It's the same resources listed below. We've just grouped them in a way that's a little bit tighter and more deliberate. So in talking about race, we've been able to break down a couple of those things we've already addressed today, including the storybook Outside, Inside, some of those different documentary videos talking about race, the game Let's Talk About Race, and a few other things that you might be able to see and engage with when talking explicitly about race with children and families. I'll actually show you one video that's called Giants. And connected to this, our big goal in creating this was to celebrate diversity and everyone's individual worth with affirmations and mantras for children to carry with them as they grow. And just like our previous video of Spanish is a superpower, there's a gentle recommendation of how you might introduce this resource and what you can do before, during, and after the watching. So take a quiet moment and watch it together. So as we begin to wind down today's conversation, I just want to give you a quick heads up of all those different things we've talked about and some next steps to continue to be part of the Sesame family. We know that going through all those resources can be overwhelming. So our ask is for you to explore the site SSIC.org to take a look at some of those racial justice resources we've walked through today and find those that are most meaningful to you in your work with children and families across your community. We also encourage you to take a look at other resource pages that might speak to other topics that you're either interested in or already doing work in. Because again, our constantly evolving page might include topics, resources, and things that you might use or might be helpful in passing to other people. And finally, our way of encouraging you to not get overwhelmed is by just taking a look at one resource at a time. Just beginning to think of just those individual children or families in your care and sharing just one resource will help bridge those different tactics between homeschool and so that everyone in the neighborhood is using the same language to talk about how we build stronger, smarter, kinder kids, one relationship at a time. With regards to these conversations about racial justice, I want to offer one more that Sesame Workshop is excited to do with Abriendo Puertas, and that is on March 9th. This is actually going to be a slightly different focus of the conversation. We're still going to be talking about Sesame Street and community resources specific to racial justice, but this is going to be specifically about in conversations with families. And so Rocio Galarza, a member of our Sesame Street team, is going to be able to engage in a dialogue with some other members and families to talk a little bit about how these resources land at home with children and parents in a space that they can share together. We encourage you to join via Zoom, and that's going to be again at 2 p.m. on March 2nd. As we close out today's conversation, know you're part of the Sesame Street family, and there's a wide variety of ways you can stay connected to us for free whenever you want to come to SSIC.org and via social media on things like LinkedIn, Pinterest, Facebook, and Twitter and Instagram. You can also text Sesame to 833-541-0461 to be updated on the newest information that we try to share each and every month. On behalf of the Sesame Workshop and all of the work that you are doing to grow smarter, stronger, kinder communities, thank you for being you and for sharing your time with us. I'll pass it back to Adrian.
Thank you, Antonio, and to the entire Sesame Workshop team. When Sesame shared with us this renewed sense of urgency and this call to action to act boldly together against racism, you can see why we were so excited to join them in this partnership. We at Abriendo Puertas, we're committed to do this work alongside our partners at Sesame Workshop. And over the years, we've integrated Sesame in communities resources into our curriculum. And we will further integrate this work and this body of work that Antonio just shared, integrating racial justice resources into our approach to make sure that you, all of our partners, have access to these tools as you facilitate Abriendo Puertas opening door sessions with your families in your communities. We'll be asking you through a short survey that if you're interested in receiving printable digital resources from us and our friends at Sesame Workshop, to please let us know, click below, and we'll go ahead and engage you all and follow up with you on getting access to those resources. Again, as Antonio said, we'll be doing this with parents en español el próximo, como en 3 semanas. So we ask you to invite families that you work with. We'll also be sending out an email message to you all to remind you all and to share with you that sign up link, that webinar. Again, we want to thank you for joining us as we leave this webinar, knowing that we all have more resources and tools to take our superpowers into communities as we work together to celebrate race, stand tall, and address racism together. Thank you all very much.